Morning everyone. So I thought it was time for a little update about what we've been up to on the farm, because I feel like I've been quiet on the socials the last couple of days, but we've been very busy doing on-farm workshops. Then we had the open day, which we had about 50 or 60 people through, which was just amazing. They got to come and see the colour behind me. We had our first frost on Sunday morning. Thankfully it was very mild and there's nothing else on the horizon, so we were very lucky. A lot of the farms we've been seeing on Instagram just got wiped out, and that was the end of their season. And as we've seen on the news, like, we've broken lots of records for how cold it has been so early, so that's a bit of a concern. But let's have a quick walk around and I'll show you what we've been up to. So beside having the dahlias, we also have our irises, some chrysanthemums and other filler flowers. And this was literally, as you can see behind the fence, full of weeds the other day. So we spent yesterday morning reclaiming and planting. I will not be a peony farmer because these were covered in the biggest phalaris grass you can imagine, same as the poor irises. But we'll see if they can recover. Our princess lilies are nice and established now, so they will be a massive colour in spring. So our first two rows of ranunculus corms are in, and they've pre-sprouted and they're popping up. We just need to keep an eye on the water, and if you're doing them yourself, they do like a good feed, but nothing too heavy, bit of nitrogen. And then when they start budding in spring, that's when we really want to lift the game and get them onto the good stuff ready for flowering. This mess was my little idea of a meadow garden. So all the seeds that we had left over during the season came down here. So we had sunflowers, straw flowers, some strawberry fields Gomphrenia on the end, which I'll show you. Just look at these, how textural they are, and they dry just like statice, so they're awesome. They're called Gomphrenia or Globe Amaranth, and you get them in a couple of colours, but I just love this variety called strawberry fields. This is a repeat flowering iris we got given by a friend, and it flowers this time of year. Isn't it gorgeous? And look at the amount of heads. So I believe from a cut flower point of view, we could really use that if we got out here early enough. Mother's Day is coming, and just on cue is our chrysanthemums. They're all budding up. They've got, look at the colour, these little tiny pom-pom ones. So expect a few chrysanthemums in your bunches the next couple of weeks, guys, because, you know, these are pumping and ready to go. Oh my God, just look at the colour in that one. So these beds are currently empty, but they're prepped ready for the next round of spring planting. Veronica, the white skyla, was very popular, and just these long towering spikes of white flowers are just gorgeous in spring, and again in autumn, and they're just ready to get cut back now and prepped for spring to come back up again. Our sea holly has finished, but this was its first year, so we planted these from seed, and just look how healthy the plants have become. And I'm going to try and get some seed off these because they're really popular if you've got a drought tolerant garden, and they look, I mean, the flowers are just textural, and I love that in a flower bunch too. Look, the zinnias are still pumping, but they are getting a little tired now. And the powdery mildew is definitely setting. Not much we can do about that. We can spray with eco product, but it doesn't do that well. So it's just one of those things about living in this climate, but you know, autumn comes and we just have to work with nature a bit. Our trial patch of Lisianthus, just look at the stem length on them, are beautiful, which is why we've sowed our seed, and I'll show you that in a sec. The autumn sunflowers are truly here. Just look at the size of them. Now this seed is one I actually picked up from the paddock. So we actually grow our sunflowers in a big row all the way over here, and you can see them coming up, which is really poor soil. So we're trying to do everything we can just to put some, I guess, sacrificial crops in, like sunflowers. So they're tall enough for our bunches, but they're not actually as big as the whopper right here. And these are cut flower varieties, so every single time we have a head, you can see we have all these multiple heads, which are perfect for some arrangements. The smaller ones can go in our vases, so we get a lot out of the one plant. But this seed was completely unique and different to any sunflower seen before. So the inside was this normal sunflower, and then right here in the middle, it was all frilly, a bit like the teddy bear variety. It was very different. So I took the seed from over here, kept it for about 2-3 weeks while we dried it out, And I've kept, well, replanted a very small batch here just to see if we captured that genetic, and we could grow this in isolation if that's the case, and hopefully create a new variety. So amazing. We've got our yarrow crop, which we've actually extended a bit more this year because it was very popular in spring and a great filler. So that's going to come up to here. We've got all our snapdragons in for spring. You can see them all the way through here until we get to the zinnias and they need to come out. These little babies are Nigella, which you may know as Love in a Mist, but it's a different variety version. We need to come back and weed in here now, obviously, but the stock is in for the first round, so we'll succession plant some stock. A Celosia just pumped this year, and everyone just loved this really dark burgundy colour, but also this really light pastel. You can just see the pastel left in it, but it is virtually finished now. We're just going to seed, as you can see. So we'll get our seed out, and then this crop's ready to come out as soon as we get that frost. The perennial white Scabiosa has had a bit of a rough year. We've actually lost quite a bit of it through here. We used to have quite a big thick patch. So I'm just planting some more seed so we can put some more plants in. Now for something linear in your bunches, you can't go past Lineana, which is also known as Lion's Mane, I think. It usually comes in orange, but we found this white one. And this is a few years old now, but look at the size of it. So you get these long, perfect stems for cutting, which work really well in bunches. And then as they start to dry, you get this really textural where the flower pods were, and guess where the seeds will fall. So if you get them at the right time and dry them, you can use them in dried arrangements. A new variety this year is Devon Apollo. Just look at the tones. It's almost like a perfect Briannon, which Briannon performs really well for us, but it can have difficulties breaking down. So this could be a good alternative. Our own baby, Fireworks at the Creamery, just is pumping full of colour at the minute. Some of these will be getting used for Anzac Day, I am sure. But I just love how it's so textural, and then you've got that dark stem with a dark leaf. Very popular with people who come to visit the garden. Some end of season Hamari Golds, just sitting there doing their thing. Not sure what all the hype is, but this is Curabelle Emma. So, you know, for those in the dahlia world, highly sought after. This is some excess stock we wanted to get in the ground so we could flower it just to make sure our mother stock was correct. Obviously it is. This monstrous white flower, perfect for events and weddings, is Earl. Just look at the size of those blooms and how crisp and perfect they are. And inside our seed starting area, or one of them, we've got our stock. So this is an apricot coloured. We're just waiting for that to get its next true leaves and we can start to go out. We've got some new ranunculi. They're all just starting to come through. So we grow our ranuncs predominantly from seed when we get it for the first time. It's a lot cheaper than buying plug trays. And then these will all form corms. We're in the first season, so then by next year we have double the amount and triple the amount, etc, etc. Who's up here? These are potentially the start of anemones, which are awesome, a wonderful spring flower. They're very slow though, so they might take a couple of years to establish. More ranuncs. We've got red krail, and I'm sure for those who followed the video, you saw me sowing this a couple of weeks ago, but look at that, nearly 100% germination rate. Something's been in here having a little nibble, so I do have to have a look at that. We've got apricot blossom in stock. I've got Stadis coming up, and I think this is something else. I've forgotten what I planted here, but all these linked to a cells tray, so I can have a look. Some snapdragons which got left over. They're not doing too good, but if they pick up, they'll go out. We've got, well, onions, how boring. This was when I was saying I was having really mixed results with my germination and I wasn't sure what was going on. So as you can see, there's lots of holes in these trays, but we've got some Scabiosa. This is the drumstick variety, so you don't actually use it for the flower, you use it for the seed pod. Some delphinium starting, some more ranuncs. This is from seed we collected ourselves, so they're about ready to get pricked out and put into cells like this so they can establish. Some more stalk. I went through this yesterday. These were all Iceland poppies and they've just been pricked out and put into their own cell tray. Look at these carnations. These were mother stock which we took cuttings off, and these were supposed to go down the paddock, and well, you know, best laid plans. This is where all the magic happens. So this is where we do all our cuttings. So there's a heat bed over here behind that curtain, another big heat bed down there. And then we have our nursery. This is where all your plants come from. So what's left here is all stock we weren't happy with when we were posting out our last sale, or it's stuff which hasn't flowered yet and I'm waiting for confirmatory flowers somewhere else to then be able to tick these off, and these can go into our spring sale for tubers. And this is probably the most magic tray around here at the minute, because all those little green specks are the start of our Lisianthus crop. So you watched the video the other week where we started it. We've had 100% germination rate in here, and I think we're just starting in this second tray true. I'm starting to get a little bit of white mold just starting there, so I'm going to give it a quick spray with some hydrogen peroxide, just a very low amount, and hopefully keep or fend off that moss or mold from growing anymore. So I hope you enjoyed your little tour of our farm and seeing what's coming up for spring. And I guess the point for these videos is that we keep showing what life is really like on a flower farm, but also, and it's not all, you know, flowers and tweed skirts, but it's also showing that when you work on a farm and you're working with the seasons, that things come and go, and we have to learn to embrace that. We can't always get the perfect coloured rose when we want for a wedding, or we can't always get a certain flower when it's off season. And when you can get them, usually they've been imported or grown with, you know, huge inputs in fake environments to achieve them, which is not always what we want. So thanks for coming along, and we'll keep sharing our journey. Have a good day.